Hello, I'm Green.
And I'm purple.
Welcome back, Green Purple. We might be actually a lot closer to the ending than I thought whenever we ended last episode. But you know what? It'll just give us more time to discuss Limbo. Let's see what we got here. I didn't
Death.
get it.
We have death. Oh. I'm sorry.
It's pretty graphic for a little 2D black and white game.
The Saw... Oh, God.
So I don't want to go there yet.
The Saw Blade deaths are the worst to me.
I mean, they're definitely the most gory.
I don't know why. Something about Saw Blades just...
Well, you couldn't see it that time.
Censored.
So yeah, this is like the last little chapter tick mark on... Wait, I think I got it.
Okay.
Okay, we gotta get it where it'll stop, and then we hit it on that one. Ooh.
Whoa. Oh, did that kill him?
We'll find out. We're still here. We're just letting it happen. He's like, ouch. Just loop back to the beginning of the game. Dang it! Went in a circle!
Oh, okay. I can see how that last one would have confused
see.
you. Okay, yeah. How'd you get past all that crap?
Girl, did you set the traps? I will kill you. Oh?
Pulls a knife out.
So yeah, that's the ending of Limbo.
Oh, you're right. It's gonna be sure. Oh my God, we're only 30.
We'll just have lots of time to talk.
Yep.
So I would say that Limbo has an even more open ending than Inside does. Like, Inside leaves a lot open, but it has like an ending where you know, like, in general, what happened at the end.
Yes.
Even if you don't know why it happened or what happened around it. But with Limbo, you never really get anything that gives you a good sense of like what's actually happening. I know we talked about before, like, the different theories.
Yes.
The theory how it was all just like a nightmare in his mind of him playing with his sister. Do you have a theory on what went down, or maybe that's not his sister? Maybe it is his sister. I think the reason people think it's his sister is because it looks like a girl and it looks about his height.
Okay, here's my new theory.
Okay.
Since I've seen all the game and I remember it better now.
Yeah. Like, I completely I knew the ending. Like, I knew he found her at the very end, but I didn't remember like the whole flying through the window thing. But flying through the window also opens a lot of new theories, I think, right there at the end.
Because there's a reason. There's a reason why that was slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was supposed to mean something. But the way I see it, because the game is called Limbo, and Limbo is supposed to be like purgatory.
Basically, yeah.
It's a state. You're in a state of like being alive and dead.
I mean, even in, I guess most people nowadays would know Limbo from Inception if you'd seen the movie Inception. Like, whenever they're trapped in that world where they can't wake up, but they're like stuck in this dream state forever. So yeah, it's always kind of been used to mean just this place, like the state of being caught in between two things.
And how I feel like the boy, something happened to him, something traumatic happened to him, and he's like in a coma. And this is a dream that he's going through, and it's like, it's like a nightmare, and like everything's supposed to be symbolic in some way, shape, or form. Because I feel like maybe whatever put him in his coma involves him like being knocked out of a window or something, because that part seemed so important. So I think that has to deal with like what put him in his coma.
And you could, I guess, I'm just going off of your theory that you're putting out. I'm picking up what you're putting down. You know what I'm saying?
Don't.
Anyways,
It's heavy.
If you go off that, then you could explain the reason why there's such like a polarity between the two halves, kind of Limbo. The forest half, the part with all the mechanized stuff, it just being like symbolic of different places he's been in life, or like just how maybe he grew up in a factory or like a factory district or something, but there was also a forest near his house that he liked to go out to.
I'm trying to remember this one book I read when I was in, I think, high school. I forgot what it was called, but I remember it also had dealt with this kind of limbo setting. But I can't remember what it was called. But I remember that there was this boy and girl in this story, and like they were like messing around in a railroad station. I mean, sorry, a train station.
Right.
And they said like they always knew there was like two tracks that came, so they knew there was like two trains, and like they were messing around. They weren't aware of the second train that was coming, so like it hit them.
Oh no!
And like it knocked them into like a state of limbo and stuff like that. So like that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe the factory is supposed to represent that they were messing around in like an industrial site, and something happened, like some accident happened.
I mean, you always hear, at least around here, it might not be as much in areas where like drilling for oil isn't a big thing, but here in Oklahoma, there's a lot of oil rigs,
and they always tell they always
have
tell
all
kids.
all these. A lot of times there's like singing and stuff in them. They're pretty cheesy, but like they have all these public service announcements where they're telling kids not to go and play around the oil sites. Mostly the abandoned ones, because once they like finish digging for the oil, a lot of times they just leave the oil rig there, and it's just they don't ever do anything with it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I guess these young delinquents will go out and start playing around the oil sites. I know it was real big during like whenever skating was popular, because you could like skate around the oil sites. And so I could see that where like they found this old abandoned factory or whatever out in the woods, and then something bad happened to him. I could definitely see that. I think it's an interesting theory.
Thank you.
And also, there's probably tons of theories out there you can read online, and we might be getting close to some of their theories. I haven't read many theories on Limbo other than the one where it was like a nightmare in his mind. I guess you could also take it just in a more literal sense, where this really is some kid out in the woods, maybe an inside situation where he like ran away from these people that seemed to be kind of like trying to trap him throughout, and maybe like you said, almost post-apocalyptic setting where there used to be lots of factories and whatnot, and nature's almost kind of taken back over. And then, but I definitely agree with you on the window being important at the end, because you'll notice it looks like he's dead, like he ragdolls once he flies through the window.
And his eyes
close and he hits the ground. So it's possible he gets back up and it's all right. But it reminds me, do you remember I think it was Edgar Allan Poe, The Pit and the Pendulum we had to read?
Yes.
And how at the end of The Pit and the Pendulum, he's been like being tortured in this area, right? And then these I can't remember who they were, but they came to like save him from this torture, and they like reached down a hand and he grabbed it and he was pulled out of the pit. But most people agree that he didn't actually make it out of the pit. That was basically like him being saved by death. Like he was imagining just being taken up to heaven, basically. And I could see that in this, where like he's trying to get to his sister, or whoever this girl is. Could just be some girl he used to play with. And then he flies through that window at the end and he dies, and he doesn't make it to find her. But in his mind, he's just like creating this final moment where he actually did go and find her, and they went off and lived happily ever after, wherever that may be.
That also reminds me of Pan's Labyrinth.
I never seen Pan's Labyrinth.
That's one of the things that that's similar theory how Pan's Labyrinth ended, and that basically, I mean, I would say spoilers alert, but the movie is pretty old.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear about Pan's Labyrinth, just it's going to be the last subject we talk about. So,
but at the end of Pan's Labyrinth, the girl is trying to.
Why did she go in the labyrinth first place?
Because Pan, which is he's like it's a mystical creature.
Is he the eye dude?
No, that's Tenome.
Okay,
that's
because it's all based in like Spanish like myths or something. Right?
I find it weird though because Tenome is from Japanese mythology.
Well, I mean, he could have just combined a lot of different mythologies.
But the Pan is like he's the goat man. He's like a fern. He's he's like Phil.
Is he the flute dude?
Yeah, the Pan flute.
Yeah.
The goat guy. And he tells her like do these things, and I'll take you away to like your true parents, because you're a princess and stuff like that. And
is she like an orphan or something, or she just lives in like a bad life or something?
She lives in it's like a
bad situation
because there's a war going on.
Oh, okay.
But,
so it starts off in like a real world type setting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end, the last thing the goat tells her to do is to bring your baby younger brother.
Lovely baby.
Your lovely baby. Bring your baby brother to the labyrinth, to the center of the labyrinth, and sacrifice him.
Oh, jeez.
And I'll take you to your real parents and stuff like that. And the problem is that I don't think it's actually her father. I think it's just this man that like it's supposed to be her father figure. He's like crazy.
Oh, good.
And he's like, all he cares about is his boy, because it was that time where like if you had a girl, you didn't really care about the girl, but if
he didn't.
Yeah, you wanted a boy. And so she like she kidnaps him because I mean he wasn't gonna be raised right anyway. She kidnaps him. She goes to the labyrinth, and the guy's like following her, trying to get her. And at the end, he's like, the Pan is like, okay, now sacrifice the baby boy. And she doesn't do it. She's like, I can't do it. And when the father guy shows up, he doesn't see Pan. So you always question, like, is this actually going on?
Whether any of this stuff was actually real.
And he shoots her, and she dies. And at the end of it, like, it shows her, and it shows her, like, Pan actually took her away. Because when other people come and, like, save her, it's too late because she got shot already.
Right.
But I think she disappears at the end, so, like, they wonder where she went. And then it shows her, and, like, Pan actually took her to see her parents, and she's, like, crowned and stuff like that. It's, like, a happy ending. But then people always wonder, is this, like...
It feels like...
it's like, did Pan actually exist? Is she actually, like, taken off to this mystical fantasy land? Or is this just her dream of her ascending to heaven and, living out...
Being away from her that man.
So that's still always the thing. It's like, is this really happening, or is this just her own fantasy, her death fantasy?
It's weird because I know we've been talking about the similarities between Limbo and Inside this entire game, but I think that's one of the main differences between them is Inside, it feels like the story there is actually happening. It's just we don't have all the facts, so we're kind of kept in the dark about what might be happening. With Limbo, it feels a lot more like it's all very symbolic.
Yes.
At least to me. It feels like the least likely story is actually what you're seeing. Like, I feel like if you take everything at face value, that is actually less likely than any of the theories you'll find on it. And what I'm getting is kind of, from what you've told me, a Pan's Labyrinth feels like kind of the same thing, where it's almost less likely for you to believe that everything she's seeing is real than it is to believe that it's actually just symbolic of what she's thinking of.
Yeah.
Again, same thing we said at the end of Inside. Is just I enjoy these games where you can just kind of sit down and think about what happened at the end. It's not like, I mean, I love the Uncharted games, but it's not like the end of the Uncharted games where we're like, yeah, name drag, killed dude, you won, goes off, gets the girl, yeah. But at the end, you're more just kind of somberly like, huh, and you just kind of think about it. I remember first time I played Limbo, it was quite a while ago. It might have been middle school.
Sorry.
Because I remember two of the biggest indie games that kind of set off the whole new indie movement was Braid and then Limbo. And yeah, I just remember the first time I played it, like I got to the ending, I was like, well, that was anticlimactic. But then, like, once I started thinking back on it as I was older, I started thinking like, oh, okay, so it. As a kid, you think more in terms of like, what is the character doing? Why is he doing it? And there should be a payoff at the end. But once you get older, you start to realize that like,
there's this art to it.
Yeah, it's not. There is a beginning, a middle, and the end, but you have to make it up your own. Okay, well, that's Limbo. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing back through it. Funny thing is, I want to play Inside again now, and like
we can't.
We're not going to play on the show, but I kind of want to go back and play Inside on my own again, just to, even though it'll be the third time I played it since I played it before, and then we played it on the show. But that does it for Limbo.
Yep.
Whenever we come back, we'll be playing something else. We're not sure yet.
What? No, I am.
Oh, you are?
Isn't it my game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what I'm playing.
Oh, I don't know what you're playing.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out.
Yep.
I'll find out with everybody else. Okay, bye, everybody.
See ya.